The thin blue line. We all know it exists, even though it's not really that thin, but it does fit a lot better on a flag should you want to declare your independence. In other words, become your own country, you have a flag, right? It does fit better on a flag than the blue wall of silence. How do you put a blue wall of silence on a flag? Impossible. So thin blue line is what it is. The trick is, and here's one of the things that needs to be done, should we really want accountability within the police department, should we want our government to be accountable, is that we have got to stop it. We have got to, shall we say, dismantle that wall of silence that's currently in effect. And this article, and this story, this may be the beginning of that. Check it out. Cop broke NYPD rules. I'm going to come back to this right here. Rules. By hitting record button when irate lieutenant yelled at him. And he didn't have a safe space to go to, so he turned on his... I'm just kidding. And broke new ground. Now, this is actually pretty important because he really did break new ground. But I do want to come back to rules. Remember, when it comes to rules and policies, the police believe that those are laws. And a lot of times the reason that they create a policy within a department, often at the behest of the police unions, is because they can't get a law passed that would allow it. So in other words, believe it or not, the police entering your home to check on your children is a policy of the police department. It actually had never been put into a law. But because they believe that it is a law, meaning a policy, that no matter what rights you violate, as long as it's a policy, police believe they have to do it. It only takes the mayor, the police commissioner, and the chief to create a policy. This is why we had this whole thing called a legislature, representation of the people to begin with. So it's a policy. And the other question I have about this rule is this. Why in the world would they have a rule forbidding them, and I'm going to go into this, forbidding the police from recording other police? Why would they have that? We're going to take a look. New York. When his lieutenant got physical in a work-related dispute, a young NYPD officer hit the record button on his body-worn camera. He really thought he was, remember, this is New York, he really thought he was petting his comfort animal. He has a little doll. Anyways. And broke new ground in how the cameras are used and regulated. For those that don't know, yes, I like satire. No, he didn't have a comfort doll. Anyways, Officer Christopher Schorek, 28, turned on the body cam to record his lieutenant, Jeffrey Gurley. That's probably part of his problem, okay? If you had a last name pronounced Gurley, as in Gurley man, I am sure he's heard that his whole life. He probably would have a macho complex also. In the lower Manhattan, now I really like this. You see, they're not police stations anymore. This article is really informative, okay? Very eye-opening. Public Service Area 4 Station House on May 31st. So they're not police stations any longer. They're public service areas where they service the public by putting your ass in jail if you can't pay your fines. And that way you can do a service to the public. That's right. Gurley, 41, admitted putting his hands on the young officer's camera as he yelled at him for being late. That was the physical part. So, in other words, he was yelling at him, "You're late, you stupid mother, blah, blah, blah," whatever, copping it out, okay? Being macho. And the cop went, turned on his camera, okay? And Gurley touched his camera, and that was a physical altercation. But anyways, let's continue into this. Sometimes, okay, guys, I gotta give it to the cops sometimes. You can yell at somebody for being late. They work for you. And especially, and we don't know it, and they don't go into it, how often was this guy late? But that's not the point. I do like the ground breaking, and we're going to get to that. The body cam video obtained by the New York Daily News shows the end of the blow-up with Gurley gesturing and pointing angrily at Schroek. At one point, Gurley imitated Shrek's walk and compared his gait to that of the animated character Shrek. Well, I would have turned around and did a girly walk just to return the favor. Get it? Shrek. Ha! Girly man. Anyways, that's what I would have done after I recorded it so I could put it on YouTube. The agitated girly asked, good, 'cause guess what? You're not supposed to tape me. This is interesting. The New York Patrol Guide bars cops from activating their body cameras in non-enforcement situations and to film routine activities in the department facilities. Well, who's going to define routine? But, oh, yeah, that's right. The mayor, commissioner, and chief of police. But that rule may not apply in Shrek's case, as Gurley's yelling gave him good reason to turn on the camera, said employment discrimination lawyer. I could do this. Employment discrimination lawyer Douglas Wigdor. Oh my God, Wigdor. We could go on Wigdor, okay, but we're not going to do it. He wigs out by the door often. Anyways, if we accept that the officer felt threatened, that could overcome the prohibition. Remember, if an officer feels threatened, even by another officer, they could do whatever they want. I wonder, can he shoot him? While the policy prohibits recording, it does not prohibit recording when you feel threatened, said Jack Scaron, a retired New York PD captain who is now a lawyer. If the lieutenant is engaging in physical behavior, he touched his... By the way, I want to bring up, physical behavior didn't occur until after he turned on his camera. The guy touched his camera. Okay, anyways, but he's no longer a supervisor. He's a threat and must be able... No, I'm kidding. He's a threat, and it is incumbent to document it and eliminate the threat, neutralize it by any means necessary. The better question is, why was the supervisor acting this way? Because he was late for work. and hey, listen, it's very possible that he was late for work and there was a whole section of town that he is supposed to be patrolling that didn't have anybody patrolling it because he was late. So anyways, why was the supervisor acting this way? Added Derek Smith, another employment lawyer. I would tell the NYPD to stop trying to divert the attention away from that. It strikes me that technology gets introduced for one purpose and then it gets used for all kinds of unintended purposes. Well, no, that's not true. The technology was introduced to be able to record the police. And it doesn't really matter. In other words, record interactions. Does it really matter if they're recording the police or not? And I don't know why that wouldn't apply to the police, said Peter Braille, a lawyer who has represented cops in disciplinary cases. Wigdor noted that even if Shrek's use of the camera violated the NYPD patrol guide, it was in line with New York state law in a conversation. You can record someone without their consent. Well, now, keep in mind, though, unless there's an expectation of privacy. Now, if he was in his office and it was only the two of them, I'm going to have to say on this one, though, there was an expectation of privacy. But, hey, I'm not a lawyer. We'll let them fight that out. The tip began with Shrek was late to his post in public service area. Police station, dude. 4, which patrols housing projects in lower Manhattan. Well, that one is kind of important. I guess I was right. It is important, housing projects. Gurley allegedly shoved Shrek before the camera was turned on. There's also an audio delay built into the body camera, so there's no sound for that first minute of the 1-minute, 22-second video. So it continues when it appears as if they went into a safe room where there was no cameras, which again begs the question, why did they have to have this discussion in a room without cameras? It doesn't look good for Gurley. Anyway, they continue with, guess what? Now you're getting a CD, command discipline citation. For recording when you're not supposed to be recording, Gurley said. That's what you're going to get a CD for. I hope that's on camera. Then Gurley reached towards Shrek. Don't you put your hands on me, all right? Shrek protested. I'm not touching you, Gurley said. You did touch me, Shrek said. No, I didn't. Mom! I touched your camera. I touched your camera, Gurley shot back. You're getting a CD. By all means, Shrek said. Goodbye, sir. Goodbye. Well, listen, man, Gurley, that's not how you do it. A dismissal goes in a negative way. Have a nice day. Gurley and the sergeant named Latchard then slapped Shrek with command discipline for discourtesy, being off post and not signing the patrol log, said sources over the next few days. A more contrite Gurley told cops in roll call how much he valued their work. Shrek declined comment. Gurley referred a call to the NYPD media office. The incident is under internal review, blah, 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 blah. All right, here's the important part, okay? It's going to be going to court, all right? It's going to court, which is a good thing. I like this idea of recording other cops, whether it is in the precinct or not, whether it is in an actual, let's say if they're on a call or not. Because currently, the way that it works is if you break that blue wall of silence, if you cross that thin blue line, you're going to need proof because everybody else is going to deny it because they don't want to be ostracized. And there is another negative aspect to, shall we say, telling on cops. If you find yourself in a difficult situation, you may not get backup. All of a sudden, everybody could be on a coffee break, which they're often on anyways. But generally, to help out another cop, they'll put down their donut and coffee and go help. But yeah, there is the ostracization. But I believe that if the cops now begin to worry that other cops are going to record them, and it's actually admissible, and it's not going to violate policy, it may start to break down that thin blue line, blue wall of silence, whatever you want to call it. To my next video.